you all for tuning in. I'm Selena Marche, and this is You Plus Happy. Each week, I bring you someone who challenges us to define happiness and success on their own terms with a dose of laughter. Remember to subscribe to the You Plus Happy podcast on YouTube and stay up to date on new episodes. You can also follow the show on Instagram at You Plus Happy. This week, she's a big deal.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet.
We have Meg Scoop, on-air talent, head of production at All Deaf. She is the co-host of the Mommy Needs a Break podcast and the Imani State of Mind and All Deaf Squad podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Should I be calling you Meg Scoop or Meg?
Most people just say Meg.
Okay, I was like, is that too? I was like, hey Meg. I don't know.
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
I was like, should I be abbreviating her name? Anyways, thank you again for being here. And I want to jump in.
Yes, please do.
How did you get started?
I woke up in the morning and I just went. No.
Love it.
How did I get started? I would say, do you want the long answer or the short answer?
Whatever is on your heart.
Okay, because I'm going to say, it can get long and windy. So I actually started in Atlanta back in like 2000 and I would say 5 or 6, 2006-ish.
Okay.
I was working as a financial consultant here.
Mm-hmm.
And something like, I knew how to do my job. I was good at my job, but I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't like the numbers portion. It didn't fit me. But I always grew up thinking like I have to have like a real responsible, like good job.
Yeah.
And I just felt like, you know, anything in the acting entertainment field was like for people who didn't have talent.
Mm.
In my head, I was like, oh, that's so easy to like act to be someone else. Like, which by the way, it's not.
No.
But like in my head, I was like, I would never do that. But I secretly always wanted to be an on-air host.
Mm-hmm.
I used to watch E! News and like, I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
That is so much fun. But of course, secretly, right? So I'm working at this financial consulting job and a series of events happen. And long story short, I basically decided to go to radio and TV broadcasting school.
Okay.
For like a quick certification. It was like a 4-month program.
Mm-hmm.
You would get to learn like how to work everything, edit stuff, whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can do this and I can still work. And it was like I was living a double life because I would work like 60 hours a week. Mm-hmm. And then in the evening I would get off at like 6 and I would like rush over to school and like go to class. And I did that for 4 months. I got my certification. And then part of the program is you can become an intern.
Okay.
So I decided to intern at a radio station here in Atlanta. And so now I was moonlighting on their morning show. Mm-hmm. And like I'd get there at like, I'd wake up at like 4 a.m, get there at 5, be there till 9, put on my like accounting clothes because I worked at an accounting firm. I put on my clothes and I rush across, like thank God it was only like a couple blocks. I rushed there, start my day. And then I did that for like 8 months. And mind you, I was sleeping maybe like 4, sometimes 5 hours a night for 8 months.
Wow.
And then at the end of my internship, they were like, we don't have a job for you. I'm so sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want us to give a recommendation, let us know. Like we're happy to do that. We just don't have anything now. And so I started interning at this TV station on their morning show. Problem was they started an hour earlier. So now I'm getting 3, maybe 4 hours of sleep a night. And at this point, because I said I'd been doing this for like 8 months, at this point, my hair started like falling out. Mm-hmm. Like I could tell my body was breaking down. And I remember just sitting down crying. I was like, God, how much more of this? Like I can see it's wearing on my body. I'm not sleeping. Like I don't go out. I don't have time for friends. Like I'm literally, I'm hustling for my dream to see what could happen. And I'm going to keep going, God, because I don't want to be on my deathbed being like, what could I have done more? Like I never wanted to have that thought in my head. So I just kept going.
Yeah.
And a month into this internship, I saw a job listing for a nationally syndicated radio show in Dallas.
Okay.
I'd never been to Dallas, didn't know a soul there, didn't have friends who had friends there, like nothing. So I flew to Dallas on a whim to just for an interview on this show. And 2 days later came back with a job.
Wow.
So it took me, I think like I had to tell my job. I was like 2 weeks notice and I was back in Dallas, like literally packed up everything.
Right.
And in 2 weeks I'd moved to Dallas. And I remember like my dad helped me move in, and I took him to the airport, and I looked around, I started bawling because I was like, I don't know anybody here. Now I'm actually working in my field. Mm-hmm. Like I'm in the entertainment field. I don't really know where it's going to go. I don't know where it's going to lead me, but this is the path that it led me on. And I ended up working as the news producer for this show for like maybe 2 years, and then I got like moved up to the senior producer of the entire show. Okay. I was there for 4 years, and then I made my way to Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And then I started doing in front of the camera, in front of the mic stuff instead of producing behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And then from there, I did the LA hustle. I was working probably 4 years, working like 3-4 jobs.
How'd you get from Dallas to LA?
At the end of 4 years, I felt like things were aligning for me to move.
Okay.
Sometimes I feel like, at least in my life, God has been like, I know it's time to move, either A, if I'm very uncomfortable, like I hate it, like my original job, mm-hmm. or B, if things are just lining up. Okay. It got to the point where I was able to tell my ridiculous, like crazy narcissistic boss that I was moving, but I was like, okay, I'll give you 2 months notice, so I'll train the next person, because I knew the type of job that I did, nobody else could do. Right. And unless I sat down with the right person, and I was able to find my replacement and train her, it took 2 months. But then like that plus the money, like I had enough money saved up. I had a big lump sum of money that came, right before that. Yeah. It just seemed like everything opened up, and it was like, okay, I felt like God was like, okay, now it's time for you to go.
Right.
So those are at least the 2 ways in my life that I feel like I knew it was time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And I went to LA because something was calling me there. I'd look at it in TV shows, and I'd be like, I really want to go there. I really want to, I don't know why, but I want to move there.
Yeah.
And so I did it. Yeah.
How did you get from, because you were working your, like, I don't want to say respectable job, but what you thought was, you know what I mean, the finance job.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have these like jobs that they don't like, and then they just stay in them. So how did you have the courage to say, I'm doing this, like, and really pursue it?
I think it was like, I just never wanted to have regrets.
Okay.
And to me, it was like, okay, Megan, your skill set. Clearly you can get a job doing this because you got one right now.
Right.
So at least go try and see what's out there. And worst case, you can always come back to what you know. And I think that's what people forget. Even like leaving your hometown, like home is not going anywhere. You know what I'm saying? It's always going to be there. Yeah. So go leave and try and see what's out there. And if it doesn't work out, come back.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like, okay, I made sure that I left on good terms, where I did everything. When you leave a certain job, sometimes you got to give 2 weeks notice. You do this. I made sure I did everything in order. So in the event I ever needed to come back, I didn't burn a bridge.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you go through growing pains?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
100%.
Because I noticed, like, living in a lot of different places, some places are not the fit. Right. But then there's the place, I would say for me, Philadelphia was a good place for me for a long time. But there was a hump. Yeah. There was a growing pain. So how do you decipher between this is not a good fit and that growing pain?
At least for me, it takes like time with God, because I was like, okay, God, I'm getting ready to go home. I'm from Kentucky, and I was like, I done lived in all these little fancy places. I'm about to go back to my little small town of Radcliffe, Kentucky, if something don't shake.
Yeah.
So it was like, all right, Lord, if you really, because it really got tough in LA after, 4 years. I'm working multiple jobs. I'm seeing friends, people I know get jobs that I like would love to have. And I'm sitting here like, okay, God, I ain't hating on nobody. But I know I'm better than her. And you know I'm better than her, God. Okay. We both know this. So why you get at to her? Like, what about me? And then it was just a reminder, like, okay, Megan, your time is coming. Like, God has not forgotten about you. Doesn't forget about you. So the question is, what am I supposed to be doing in the interim until I get what is coming to me? So it's like, okay, I just have to keep going. And if I'm not supposed to be here, like, trust and believe my life will just be terrible.
Okay.
Just be terrible. And I'll know the difference between like, this is just hard and I'm persevering versus this is terrible. I need to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay. You kind of just feel it and spending time with God.
Yeah. And when I'm not sure, that just means I need to spend more time with God. At least in my life. It's just like, okay, that means, are you reading your Bible enough? Because here's the other part. People think that what you go through in life is just like the God side of you and like the reality side of you are different, right?
Okay.
So like I can talk to God and ask him for things, but like these bills are due and like I am trying to get in my career and my kids need this. Like they don't seem to think that one side affects the other. And so once you understand like the spiritual dynamic, to me, things just got a lot easier because I realize now it took me what it took me because God was preparing me.
Okay.
So for example, I know you were telling me how like you do everything for this podcast. You book, you produce, you edit. I was doing the same thing for a show and I was doing it for free for years, for like 2, maybe 3 years, right?
Okay.
But I always looked at it as school. Like, okay, Megan, this is your school, right? You're getting better at this. And lo and behold, when I finally, after 4 years, I finally auditioned for All Def and I got the job as their daily news anchor.
Okay.
And then that switched me over to like the rest of their content. But the reason I was able to stay in All Def and have still been there was because of skills like that.
Yeah.
I went from just being the host of my show to host and producer.
Right.
Because I had done it.
Right.
And then host, producer of my show and produce other people's shows.
Yeah. That's a really good point. And you said we go to a networking event, and you spoke there, and you said, I remember you said the skills that you had learned in your finance job, you were applicable at All Def. And so
I never thought it would be.
Who would? Because finance would be.
I work with comedians,
Right,
and I'm in an entertainment comedy field. Like there's most of the comedians I work with have never even gone to college. So it's like for me to think that like what would finance have to do with comedy, right?
Right.
But you know, I think that your skills add longevity to your career because going from on-air personality to that plus a host plus that plus a producer plus that plus producing other people's shows on the channel, and then eventually now I'm the head of production, which is a financial, like I need to understand that side. I need to understand budgeting. I am a pro at Excel, which is like, who even uses Excel in this line of work, right? If you're on air comedian, like you don't even use that, but like I can do formula, I can do all kind of stuff in Excel, right?
Yeah.
So like I never thought that side would matter, but to me, I was like, oh, okay, God, I see what you're doing. Everything is a stepping stone. So whatever you're doing, especially with like this is a stepping stone because you're going to need all these things later. So don't ever look at it like it's a waste or you're wasting time. It's like you're building.
I love that mindset, that perspective, because it's I've seen it in my own life thus far. Like jobs that I've had that I didn't like, and I'm so many skills that I learned and how to talk, even just like how to talk to different people from different backgrounds that I learned. So it in the moment, it doesn't always feel like that.
Oh, it doesn't. No, it never does, right? So you have to like cling. That's the faith part. You got to cling to what you can't
like,
see.
I know it's a reason for this.
Right.
I know. So a lot of people want to move to LA, right? Yeah. How was your time there?
I love that. I still go there like once a month for work stuff. But like to me, you have to ask yourself why you want to move there, right? If you're just doing it because you want to be famous, you can, like in this day and age, you can be famous at home. Right. You have the internet. Everyone's on TikTok. Everybody's on, like, use what you have before you. Don't worry about fame. Worry about excellence. And then when you get to a point in your city, wherever you're at, if you've reached the pinnacle, meaning I know all the people, I know all the spots, the networking, the like, you know, different people in this field, and I've kind of just gotten to the point where I can't do any more, then you move. Because I think for a lot of people, they think like, okay, well, I'm going to go there and be famous. No, you're going to go there and be broke. And you're going to come right back. Because you can't think of it like that. You got to look at, okay, what skills do I have? If you want to be an actor, are you in local plays? Are you doing like in classes that are in your city? Are you doing those things? Because if you're not doing any of those, don't go somewhere else and think you're going to make it. You ain't even did it in your own space.
Location's not going to change.
Right.
Who
it's
you
not.
Are.
So like make sure you do that wherever you're at. And then when it's time and you're like, okay, and you'll know when it's time because you'll be like, I've taken every class. I've met every teacher here. I've got an agency. Like I've done everything that I could do here. There's literally nothing else for me to do. Then it's time to look at other options.
Yeah. Okay. And so how did you, so you moved to LA, you had a lot of, you had experience by then.
Yeah.
How did you get to All Deaf? I know you said you auditioned. How did you find out about it?
So when you're in LA, everybody's on like the same different like casting like websites. There's like 3 or 4 major ones. And I would just always be on there because I'm also a union actress. So I'd be looking for like acting jobs, but I also had like hosting and like on-air personality type of stuff like that I was looking for. And so when I saw the job listing pop up, I was like, oh, this is me. Like, they're funny. I love funny. I love to do funny stuff. Like, oh, this is me. I just knew it. And I went in there and I killed the audition and I walked out of there calm as a cucumber.
Okay.
Like, I'll be back. Okay. I don't know if it's for this, but I'll be back. And then I got the call that I actually... They were like, well, nobody's getting this because we're actually not going to be doing this show anymore. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then maybe like a month or 2 later, they had another audition and they actually hit me up. I was like, hey, come in for this. Okay. And I was like, okay. I felt like I had the last one, but like y'all took the show. So like, hopefully I get this. And I did. So,
okay. And it's been good ever since.
I mean, it's like I've been there since 2016, so it's been a while.
10 years.
Yeah, which is crazy because it doesn't even feel like that. And I've been through different iterations of it. It used to be owned by somebody else. It went bankrupt for a while, and then it got bought by another company. So like I've seen it in different phases. So it's cool. Yeah.
What makes you stay?
I love what I do.
Through the phases.
I love what I do. It's fun for me. It matches my skill set, I think. And I always get to do like different things and new things. I think that's what makes me want to stay creative. Like creatively, I get to try new stuff all the time. So yeah.
When you said y'all work with a lot of comedians, I meet a lot of comedians. What do you look for when you are looking to work with a new comedian?
Just a level of authenticity because in the comedy game, everybody's funny, right? Or at least they think they're funny. Or they're funny enough, right?
Yeah.
But what I think separates people in their comedy is like their story. So when they tell their story, they tell it in their own way when they're doing their comedy set. Like, I love the people who just have the most authentic stories. And there's some people who are a little fake about it. But so the best people are just like, whatever. Like, this is me. This is what I offer. This is what I bring. And no matter what that is, they're not afraid to make fun of themselves. And they're just like open. And then I've met some comedians who are like, you taking this way too seriously. Like, that's why you're not going to make it because it's comedy. Like, you can't.
Right.
And I don't say don't take it seriously, meaning like don't, like, you should be working a comedy club every week. Like, if stand-up comedy is your profession, right? Yeah. So take it seriously in that way. But I mean, don't take yourself seriously, meaning like, oh, I messed up. Oh no, no one's gonna laugh. Like, okay, they didn't laugh. So what?
Right. Just move on.
So but you got up there. You're putting up numbers, basically. Like, keep putting the numbers up, and something will eventually hit.
So long term, if you work with somebody for a long time, because you do have 3 podcasts, what qualities does someone have to work with you for years?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I think just being yourself and being like a kind person. I've had people that I've worked with on shows and they were just, I don't know what it was, but it's like they were hiding something.
Okay.
And it always reads on camera. Okay. You can always tell if you have a secret because there's a level of discomfort that plays out, whether it's your eyes, whether it's like how you respond to stuff. There's always something. There's always a tell, I guess. Okay. And there's been a few people that I've been like, something's weird with them. Like, I would host a show with them. I'd be like, I don't know what it is. And years later, something would come and I'd be like, that's why I knew it. It was something.
Yes.
And it's like, it's hard to work with somebody who's not true to themselves. So it's really important to take the time to learn who you are. Like, what do you really like to do? You know, if somebody's mean to you, what kind of, like, how do you respond? Or like, you know, if you can't answer the question of who are you, then you should probably take some time to do that. Because I remember I was in an acting class and the teacher was like, who are you? And I was like, so, and then like, I was thinking, I was like, wait, who am I for real? And I was like, I'll be honest, I guess I don't know. And I didn't think about that. I was like, I didn't know who I was. I thought I did, but nobody's ever asked me this. I never thought about it. And like, I remember leaving that class that day and was crying, and I was crying in my car. I was like, I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it was just like, oh gosh, like, why don't I know? But you need to know that for doing a job that is personal as this. If you're talking to people, you have to have a perspective. You have to be a certain way because people are watching you and they want to gravitate towards you. They want to like you, but you have to bring your authentic self. And you can't do that if you don't know who you are.
I love that. Wait, can you tell me, like, you don't have to tell me who you are, but can you tell me one thing?
Yes.
Like, about who you are?
About who I am.
Yes.
I'm a kind, loving person who, I am an overachiever, but that has helped me in a lot of ways. There's positives and pros and cons to that. I'm also a very giving person, sometimes to a fault, but to me, it's my superpower now that I understand it. I'm a hard worker, and it's really important to me and for me, anything that I do, that I'm not just doing it to get a check, but I'm doing it because I'm impacting in some way. Because there's jobs that I've let go or didn't do because I was just getting a check. Something it has to nurture me, or it has to give me a space to help nurture other people, or else I just can't do it.
I feel the same exact way. That's why I couldn't be in a job that was like sucking the life out of me, because it really is soul crushing when you just want to. Anyways, you know how it feels. So you're an overachiever and you have a lot going on. How do you balance everything, like with family, with work, travel?
I don't, girl. I don't. I don't think there's ever a balance. I think that's a misconception too, that people are like, I just want to live a balanced life. No, you're never going to live a balanced life. Something in your life is always going to suffer. The key is to be like, okay, that is drowning. Let me spend some time there. It's just kind of a given. You just kind of, you got to do the best you can. And I've learned it because I've always been like, I want to live a balanced life. At the end of the day, I realized, and I'm still learning, that you just got to do the things that are important and feed your spirit. Because like, even now, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, got 2 little kids. I went through like postpartum depression, and I was trying to be like everything for everybody and nothing for myself. And so in that regard, my family was fine, but I wasn't. And so now that like my baby's now 2, it's like, okay, now I can like start to, getting back to myself, getting back to the things that make me me. And one of those things is travel. Like, I love to travel. It's very important and imperative for me because I wasn't born in America. I always want to make sure I get a stamp in my passport every year. And so, and I stopped doing that for a while because I had kids, they were little, and I was like, I gotta be a mom and take care of them. And now I'm just like, Megan, these things are important to you. Right. So girl, I'm gonna tell you, like, right now, I think 5 weekends in a row I've been gone. Like, I've been somewhere. Love it. I've been everywhere. But now I'm like, okay, all right, now I gotta get back to my life. All right. But that's important to me. Yeah. And so I'm glad that I'm doing things like that, because there was years where I didn't go anywhere. Yeah. Just trying to take care of everybody. So. But that also goes back to your point of knowing yourself and knowing what does bring you, the most, make you feel like yourself. If you don't know that, you can't do it. Exactly. So, I'm a big proponent of like spending a lot of time by myself. Not a lot, but time to, like, quality time by myself to know what I need, because you can't give yourself what you need if you don't know what you need. You know what I mean? And it's not always like you Google stuff and like meditate and read a book. That might not work for you. You know what I mean? So it's important to know. I fall asleep reading books. And I have so many books. I'm like, I'm gonna finish this book, and I'm like, dang! Oh my gosh! Sleep again? A whole shelf of like, oh my gosh! I unfinished books. I'm gonna be honest, but I read some of it. Yeah. And then in your life, since you are busy, what do the people in your circle have to have? So like, not professionally, but the people you keep around you. What qualities do they have to have? Number one, my close circle all has to love God, because I'm going to go to them in my vulnerable, I can't even say that word, vulnerable and like I'm weakened state. And in those moments, I need someone that's going to pour into me spiritually. So for my close group of friends, like, I need you to know God. You're going to have to tell me a scripture. You're going to have to bring some kind of a word or something to the forefront of my mind when I'm down and I'm low. Also, people who are ambitious in their own field. My closest friends, none of us do the same thing. We're all in different areas of careers, but they're all killing it in whatever career they're doing.
Yeah.
Like one is a principal, one is has a doctorate in nursing, one is like a master's in social work. Like we're all over, but we're all killing it in our area. And that to me is important because I can't, it's one thing to be like, I don't know. It's one thing to be like, I don't know where I'm going to go in my career. It's another thing to be like, I'll just settle for this. Yeah. And my closest group can't have this settle mentality because when I'm low and I'm like, oh, I don't know what else to do. I can't have somebody be like, well, that's good enough. Yeah. No, I need people to be like, push me because they push themselves.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Right.
So yeah.
And they know what it takes.
Exactly.
It's like when you haven't, not to be like that, but like when you haven't not done anything, but when you haven't pushed yourself, you don't know what it's like to have to push yourself.
Exactly.
Because when you do it, when you're telling somebody to do that, you know what you're telling them to do. Right. And you know it's not easy.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you something about that, about pushing yourself. It just left my mind. Anyways, I'll keep us moving. What is the best advice that you've received?
What is the best advice? Oh, you are enough.
Okay.
You're enough. I think, especially in an entertainment field, it's so easy to do the comparison game.
Yes.
To look at somebody else's career, to look at somebody else's like body, what they have, everything, and just be like, that ain't me, but
Yeah.
And then to equate that to why you don't have a level of success that you think you should have, right?
Right.
But those two are not the same.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think just hearing you are enough. Like I would tell myself that when I would walk into auditions and there's 50 girls that look exactly like me, but like prettier. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, like you are enough, Megan, you are enough. You are enough. Yeah. I would have to just repeat that because nobody is like you. There could be people who look like you. There could even be people who imitate you. Nobody is like you. Nobody has walked in your shoes every day, lived your life, seen what you've seen, reacted to what you've reacted to, grown how you've grown. So you can't. So you're unique, which means nobody can replicate that.
Right.
And that is your superpower.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And I feel like this business will keep you, I don't know, what do you think? You can't get caught up on your own hype, right?
Yeah,
like you said, somebody would say, oh, you're pretty. Like you said, there's 50 girls who look like me or better.
Right.
So I can't get hyped up. I can't get... That's something I think about a lot. If people give me compliments on my physical things, I'm like, that doesn't matter. It's not going to sustain me. I'm going to get old. And it's not going to, it doesn't set me apart in those rooms. What do you think about that?
No, it's very true because it's like you have to, and even, because even your skill won't set you apart. The truth is, casting directors pick who they want to pick based on, this actor that she's going to be with is like shorter than her. We're going to have to pick someone short. It's not necessarily the best skilled actress.
Yeah.
It's whoever fits that particular part, meaning are they the right height? Are they the right weight? Do they have the right accent? Do they know the right people, right? Like, oh, well, the director said he wants to use this girl, so we'll just use her, even though she's not the best fit, but that's what he wants to use, right? So when I learned that about like acting specifically, I was like, just go in here and have fun. I'm gonna just do what I do.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, I started booking more jobs.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, you have a billion people reading the same lines and repeat it like this. I would just be like, whatever. I don't really care if I get this job or not. And that set me apart. Just the attitude of like, I'm gonna have fun with this. Yeah. I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. And they're like, that's different. I like that.
And it's like letting go, right?
Yeah.
I know a long time when I first met you, we talked about. Before I get to that, you seem very optimistic. How do you stay optimistic like this?
Oh, I don't, girl. That's just like, you just caught me on a good day, okay?
But no, every time, I haven't seen you that much, but every time I see you, there's, maybe I just caught you all the good days.
Yep, you caught me on all the good days, none of the bad days.
It doesn't ever give off, or maybe you have a good poker face, because it doesn't ever give off like, oh, this is hard. You seem like a lot of energy. I feel like I fight from energy, and I don't have any kids. If I had kids, I'd be like, hey, how you doing? Like,
if this was last night when we recorded this, then I would have been like that. You'd have been like, okay. I was done, honey. I'm tired. It's just, I do have those moments.
Okay.
I do. I guess when I'm going through those moments, so I feel like those are moments of recharge and replenish.
Okay.
And that's probably why you don't see me like that, because I'm not going to be out and about. In those moments, it's either I need to get rest and I just
Okay.
need to be quiet and just go lay down, or I need to like spend time with God, which is a lot of the case because I feel like, you know, there's so many distractions in life, and it's easy to forget, like, oh, Megan, you need to probably like sit with God for like 10-15 minutes.
Okay.
And not look at your phone, maybe read the Bible, maybe just sit and pray. You know, I'm starting to fast like once a week. So it's like, if I'm not doing the things that replenish my spirit, then the physical part, you can see it on the physical part.
Yeah.
So I'm just spending time, you know, just growing physically, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, spiritually.
What about when you have to? Like, say, I know you said you fly to LA a lot. Yeah. You have an obligation, and you're like, oh, what do those days look like?
It's rare.
Okay.
Because I've learned to put on, like, I'm able to work with people, and, you know, like, I'm able to just put it on. I guess that's part of the on-air personality of me. That's why I think this is the right profession for me, because I understand how to be like, okay, well, this is, all right, it's go time. And so if what I'm dealing with doesn't match with what I'm doing for the day, then I just have to be like, okay, like, we'll just park that here and we'll revisit after this. Or if it's applicable, I'll use it with whatever I'm doing. So if I'm like on a squadcast, it's a video podcast. So some days I don't feel that great, but I still got to do it. And I'll just be like, my energy's off today, y'all. And because it's a comedy podcast, I'll get like roasted for it or whatever. And it's like, okay, it's fine, but I put it out there. So, but other jobs, it's not, it doesn't work if I do it like that. Right. So in those cases, I have to just be like, okay, put it right here, park it, and we'll revisit. We'll come back to this. And I've even had to like work with people who I just was like, I do not rock with them at all for whatever reason. And you would never be able to tell on camera.
That's what I have to, on camera I can do it, but as soon as the camera stops, it shuts off, and I think the person would be able to read it. I got to work on that. But that almost like gave me chills, because that was a clear indicator to me is when I can go in the zone. And so with the podcast, I feel like, or I did my first red carpet recently, so I was excited. Nice. But I go in this zone that I don't even have to try to go into. My brain just like, we're here. On. There you go. And then after we're like, all right. But that this is for the listeners too, of like, I don't know, I wonder what you think. I'm not saying that that's a clear, like, that's what you should do. But to me, that was like confirmation that when I do this thing, I go into this zone that I don't get to anywhere else in life. And it feels so good. And I'm putting out what I think is good work. My goal is to help people. That's why I could try to have these conversations without an audience, but I want to help people, and help, you know. So that was a clear like sign to me. Do you think, is that?
Well, that's one of them for sure, because this is a very video, like, people are watching you. So again, you can tell when something's wrong with people. So there's been times where I've watched footage of myself and I'll be like, oh, it was reading all over me. I didn't hide it that day at all. But for the most part, 90% of the time, if I'm going through something, you'll never see it on camera. Right. So it is a learned skill. I'm not saying it's the best skill, but sometimes you need that, because you just, I mean, and now that I'm thinking about it, that's every job. You got to go in every day, put on your best face, even if you don't feel like it. Yeah. Or you're going to get fired.
I'm about to say, you're not going to go far. You would not go far in your career. Right. You come in with this attitude and no, it's not going to work. When you said spending time with God, what does that look like? And if that's too much?
No, that's fine. For me, it's just like the basics, right? Reading my Bible, which I be needing to do more of that. But like reading devotionals help. Praying. So like making sure I start my day with God, end my day with God, and talk to Him, you know, throughout the day. And then like also like building the church community. So going to church or doing some kind of ministry with people at church. Fasting as well, which I used to do a lot of, and I just recently started back. So it's like different things like that kind of help me grow closer to God, and more or less depending on where I am in life. You know, like,
what does fasting do? I know it's in the Bible and I've heard of it. I've never done it for those reasons. I've done it for the wrong reasons, y'all.
Like Charlie, I got a vacation. Scientifically, it does like clear your mind. It clears because I think for some reason, I guess it's like all of your body's energy goes to like I guess it like cleans everything out, and then it goes to like preserving you, from what I understand.
Okay.
Which means like, you know, a lot of times you have a lot of noise in your mind and you're thinking about everything. Yeah. But when some weird reason, I guess, because all those cells are trying to like sustain you since you're not doing anything but like drinking water, right. You have a lot of clarity. Okay. So I think there's times when like I add the fasting on when I need some answers about stuff. When I feel like I'm praying, but I'm doing the things, but I'm just not getting a clear answer, or things are not changing. So I'm like, all right, it's time to up it. Let me just add my fasting in there.
I love that. Yeah. All this time, I'd be like, God, I want some. Please send me clarity. Please, I'll do whatever you say. And then,
meanwhile, it was like prayer and fasting.
You need to do a little fasting.
You forgot the fasting part. Yeah. And fasting is like, it's different for different people, by the way. Okay. So for me, I'll do like now I've started to do like a weekly 1 day like water fast. Okay. And it's helped tremendously. But I'll probably up it and like do like, I think at the beginning of the year, I do what people call a Daniel fast. Yeah. Which is like cutting out all like, you know, meat, sugars, processed caffeine, all that. But yeah, like, again, depending on different things in my life require different levels of like fasting.
Yeah. I love that though. Paying attention to what you need in that moment and then honoring that. Because sometimes we know what we need and we're like, anyways. Too hard. I don't want to do that.
And then you wonder why everything stay the same, and you be like, "Cause man, I ain't trying to do the hard stuff."
I love that. I'm challenging yourself spiritually.
Yeah.
Because we always talk about challenging ourselves and pushing ourselves and success and blah blah blah. But I've never thought of challenging myself in a spiritual way.
But that's the thing, because a lot of times, again, what we face in reality, we separate that from the spiritual part. But what you don't understand is that the spiritual part is what dictates what happens in the physical. And so if things are weird or off in the physical world that we're in, then you're like, okay, you got to go back to spiritual, because that is what will shift what you see and what's going on around you.
Yeah. Okay. One of my questions, we have to navigate a lot of different personalities and a lot of different people in this business. Yeah. I would imagine that you do. How do you navigate the personalities that are challenging, or you're just not vibing with them, but it's business, and you got to get it done, but you can't stand this person, or it's just like, I get a bad feeling.
Oh, I've had a lot of those, like people that I just like did not care to work with, but I'm on camera, right? So I just have to work with. So that, you know, I guess it just, you have to learn to be your most gracious self in those moments. Okay. Because, or else you'll come off really rude and like, no one likes a meanie, right? And a meanie in the sense of like, not like a fun meanie, but like a meanie that's like just rude to people without knowing the backstory, right? Yeah. You just look like a mean girl, and I don't ever want to look like that. So I just have learned, like, okay, while we're on here talking to you as the most minimum amount that I need to still make it look like we're good. But once these cameras off, boy, I'm done with this. But, and also I actually try to not work with those people. Right. I think I'm at the point in my career where I can kind of pick and choose what I want to do. Okay. And so sometimes I'd rather like sub somebody else in and be like, okay, I'm supposed to be doing this, but like I'll hire somebody else that can, at least in where I work, because it's, you know, like now I'm the head of production, I can kind of step out if I don't want to do something.
That's a wonderful point. Work hard enough so you can get to the point where you don't have to deal with that. And if it were on set though, because, you know, on set, it's a lot of sitting around and like not on camera. What do you do during those sitting around times? And they're trying to talk to you.
Oh, and they're trying to talk to you. Oh man, I gotta take this call. There's a lot of places to sit around on a set.
That's true.
So I would just be like, I'm going to sit over there, or I'm going to go to the bathroom, or I'm going to do something else. Okay. But I'm not going to be around them, and also like, I don't want you messing up my energy, because like I need to be my best self to perform. So I'm just going to have to go wherever I need to go to get away from you.
Yeah. Okay. No, because and I get, I don't know, I feel very intuitive, and I get bad feelings about the person, and I can't say anything because I have nothing to back it. I mean, I still respect it in my, like, internally, but it's like, dang, I have nothing to support this but my intuition, but it's never lied to me. So I do honor it, but I'm on set with this person, or, you know, whatever. And I'm like, oh, this is tricky.
Well, I mean, and it's your job. I mean, you have to interact with people that are challenging and the people that you don't want to work with, but it's just your job. As long as you leave it there when you leave the set, you good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you talked about acting and hosting.
Yeah.
And we had talked a long time ago. I remember well, I don't know how you feel, preferred hosting.
Yeah.
So how did you come to that conclusion? And are you still, would you still act?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I love acting, but like at the end of the day, I'm a host. I'm an on-air personality. I prefer to be myself than to be somebody else. Yeah. And that's what acting is. I kind of always knew that, to be honest with you. I said, back when I was watching E! News, I was like, oh, I want to be a personality that does that stuff. And like a lot of times acting and hosting kind of go hand in hand. They're both on screen. But like, again, one is you have to know yourself because you're yourself.
Right.
The other one, you get to be other people. Mm-hmm. I just, again, prefer to be myself. So I do mostly, on-air stuff, like personality stuff, but I'll still go back to acting. And I even said probably like next few years when my kids get older, when I can actually put more energy into it. Yeah. Because right now it's like I don't have the energy and I know I won't do well. But I still love it. And I'll still be, if anybody looking for somebody, be, a background. I mean, not a background, but like the friend of the main character. I'll be the friend.
Okay. Okay.
But I don't want to be a main character. I'm not there yet. I don't know if I ever will be when it comes to acting, just because, like I said, I prefer to be myself. But,
yeah, that's how I feel too. I feel like when you pursue acting, everybody's like, oh, they want to be the star, and I'm like, no, I want to be the friend. I don't.
Yeah, and I think you gotta be like, I think that's the other part of it too. Everybody, if you want to be a star, but the stars are like the people who've worked the hardest.
Yeah,
and not just, again, try to be excellent at your craft. I have a friend who she's an actress, and she's getting like her master's in acting because she loves acting so much.
Right.
She's not spending her time being like, why am I not the main character on a network show? She's like, I'll get there eventually, but I just love this so much. Mm-hmm. I'll just follow it wherever. She's learning different mediums of acting. She's not just TV and film. She's doing like theater because it's a different skill set for acting. So I'm like, see, that's how you're supposed to be.
Right.
You can have a goal in mind, but you need to be very well versed in your craft.
Yeah.
You can't just expect to walk in there and get the best job and you're not prepared for it. Mm-hmm. Like, God don't even work like that. He prepares you. Like, he ain't gonna send you somewhere and you're gonna fail. Like, he's going to prepare you. So in the meantime, while you're waiting for your, that dream to come true, you should be actively waiting, meaning actively growing your skills.
Yeah, I love that. Actively waiting.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes me want to like, okay, anyways.
And if Denzel was in class still, girl, why ain't you? You know what I'm saying? That's what I tell people. I'm like, Denzel is Halle Berry, they still take classes.
Me and my friend were just talking about that. Like, you should never not be in a class if this is what you want to do.
If this is what you say you love doing, and if you're like, I don't want to do classes, and the truth is you really don't want to do this. This is not your love.
Yeah.
Go find your love.
Yeah.
It's not acting. You're apparently just want fame, but you can get fame in anything.
Yeah.
So you should probably try to get fame in whatever your passion is. It ain't acting if you don't even want to get in a class.
You want to do a class.
It ain't acting.
But I do think it's important to follow, because this is why I want the show. I want the show to be as big as it can be for its audience, because I think a lot of people don't know a lot about different careers in entertainment, right? They know about the stuff that they see on TV, and they might know a director or whatever. So in my opinion, what I think is if it is calling you, something along the way might be in there for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So kind of pursue it, and then when you go to the class and you hate it, figure out this ain't it.
Oh, this ain't for me. Let me pivot. Let me pivot. Something else.
Yes. Yeah. But I think definitely go towards what's calling you, because I think it's calling you for a reason.
Yeah.
If I wasn't pursuing acting, I wouldn't have got to the podcast, and then I wouldn't have realized how much I love the talk show portion of it.
Yeah.
What is your definition of success?
It has changed over the years. I think currently it means the freedom to do what I want when I want. I think a lot of people think like, success is money, it's monetary, but you can have a lot of money and no freedom.
Right.
Meaning you could work for somebody and you got to be where they tell you to be, when they tell you to be there, how they tell you to be there. And that to me doesn't feel very free and successful anymore. Just to be the steward of my own time and going where I want to go, when I want to go, because I have a family now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, if I want to me, my husband, and kids want to go somewhere, I want to be able to go there and not worry about, are we going to have food? Are we going to be able to pay for food when we get back? Am I going to have a job when I get back? I don't want to work like that anymore. So I think just being able to do what I want with my time.
Right.
And how I want to do it is the ideal of success that I always want to live in.
Okay. What, because you say you're very ambitious and driven, right? And you don't. I imagine you don't have to work as hard as you did back when you were doing these.
It is, but it's a different type of hard.
Okay,
it's a different hustle now. I'm not doing all-nighters, going from one job to the next, as I was, in my, late 20s, early 30s. But like, it's still hard because now I'm trying to make sure I keep some children alive, keep my husband happy, keep my home in order, but also making sure things are going good at my job with the people that work under me, making sure they love what they do.
Yeah.
Because to me, I never want anyone to work for me or with me and they just hate it because of something I could have fixed. So that takes a lot of energy. So to me, like, I'm not spending hours going from one physical job to the next physical job, but I am in a sense, but it's just the juggling part is the hard part for me now.
Okay, I see. What does your career bring you? Does it bring you fulfillment? You know what I mean? What does it bring you?
Joy. I love talking to people. I love being able to, like, I don't know. I feel like I've always been a talker. And so even growing up, all the people out there, all the teachers that was like,
me too.
You talk too much.
Selena needs to stop talking much. She's good at her grade. Her grades are great, but she's very...
all the talk too much kids. This is probably your profession or something with this. But like, I've always been a talker. So I love being able to talk to people and, just getting their perspective on things, but also challenging their perspective on things. Which is why I think I like being an on-air personality more than I like being an actor.
Yeah.
Because it's like, thought-provoking. Maybe I learned something. Maybe you learned something. But it's just that dialogue and the exchange and doing it in an entertaining way, to be honest with you. Because I'm not, anything I've ever hosted or been a part of, I can't not laugh. I cannot bring anything joyous and humor filled in it, because then it's just not fun, and I'm like, I'm going home. I can just stay at home for this. Anything, just talking to people.
Okay. Because we work, I feel like when you dedicate so much to your career, it has to be bringing this joy that I feel like you can't get anywhere else. Not that you don't get joy in other places, but it just when I'm not doing this stuff. I'm not happy. Like, I'm just, I don't feel as good. But when I'm doing this stuff, all this, I'm like, like, it just brings this.
That's how you know you're in the right place.
It's just this feeling that you don't get anywhere else,
That's, you're in the right place.
Yay. I did it. Like, yay.
It's a lot to unpack in that yay, Selena.
No, it is. Because you need confirmation sometimes, right?
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's because of some career. I'm not saying any career is not difficult, but I think other types of careers, from what I see on the outside looking in, they have the steps, and pretty much if you take those steps, it's going to be challenges. But if you take those steps, you're going to get to where you want to go. Where this career is, you could take all these steps and you're like, where am I at? What's going on?
Yeah.
So and I'm not complaining. I wouldn't change anything about it, but it does. I think it yields itself to needing a little bit more confirmation along the way.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It is hard because you wonder, like, am I doing the right thing? Am I going the right way? Am I? Then you're like, should I be doing this? I just go get my job over there at XYZ spot. So there's a lot of questions because, again, you don't know what the end goal is of your life. You're just kind of going through. And so I think you have to always even write it down, make it plain where you can see every day, this is my goal and this is the vision, because you'll lose it if you're not, if you don't concentrate on where I'm supposed to be.
No, for real. And And I think being flexible, right?
Yeah, for sure. Because, sometimes you have to pivot. I remember, I told you I said I wanted to be in on E! News.
Uh-huh.
I got an audition for E! News, and I was so excited. I was like, this is it. This is it. I did all this hard work. This is it. I went in there and I was like, I'm prepared. I'm ready. They said it's a cold read. I was like, I'm great at cold reads. Went in there, killed it. Did great. Amazing. I walked out of there and I remember sitting on a bench in front of the office and I was like, this is not what I want to do. Wow. And I sat on that bench for like 15, 20 minutes. It might have been longer. And I just was like, I thought this was what I wanted to do. And this is not. And I got a call back for it too. And I went and I just was like, yeah. I mean, I did it, but I just was like, I didn't have the same energy I had the first time. Because it just was like, I realized like this is not it. So it was like, okay, what do I do now? Because I'm here. I thought this was my dream. I got here. It ain't what I thought it was going to be. And so it's okay to pivot. It's okay to pivot. Just keep going once you pivot.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like, okay, Megan, this is not what you want to do, but why? Like, why do you not feel the same? And so when I sat down and thought about it, it's because I didn't want to do news. Right. Because when you're doing news, even though it's pop culture news, it's still news. And news, you have to be it's very hard to fit in your personality.
Yeah.
Because you have to read a script, you can read it in a different way with a different inflection, but you're still reading the script.
Right.
You're not really allowed to be yourself at that stage. What they were looking at for me.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they don't have anything at E! News that isn't like that because they have a lot of cool shows, but like the stuff that I was auditioning for, it was like news.
Right.
And I was like, oh yeah, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized like I want to do fun and funny stuff.
Yeah.
And which is great because that put me on the path to All Deaf, which is a comedic channel.
Yeah. And that's still follow what's calling you.
Yes.
Because it'll get you somewhere.
Right.
Because you thought it was E! News, but that was just the thing to get you on the path. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that's so important. And another thing that you're saying that I think is really important, people can get caught up in names and labels. E! News is a big deal.
It is, yeah.
And somebody who's not like in tune with themselves or honoring themselves might have taken that and been miserable.
Right.
So that's an important part. Like, you know what? This is E! News. Like, that's huge. And it's not for me. Dang, what's going on? And so
that was the hardest realization. I was like, all these years of like my dream, and I'm here, and now I'm like,
no, for real, but
not for me.
But then you found something that was much better for you, and you listened. Because I know, like, say if I was 21 and E! News wanted to hire me, I'd have taken it and been miserable. Like, oh, okay,
go me too. At 21, I sure would have been like, yes, I work here. I would cry at home, and I'd go on work.
And then I think it'll keep you from where you're really supposed to be even longer. So I love that that you did that. That happened to me with LA. I wanted to live in LA my whole life. When I got there, I said, oh gosh, this ain't it.
This ain't it. But that's okay, right? That's okay.
It took a long time though.
Right, but you have to learn what isn't for you.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes you going through it to be like, you know what? Never mind.
Yeah.
You can always change your mind. You can always change your mind.
And no regrets. Like you said, I want to be on my deathbed or whatever.
And I should have moved to LA. What if I had moved to LA? And no, you already went there.
And you romanticize things too when you don't do them.
Yeah.
And now I know ain't nothing romanticized.
Oh no,
ain't no romanticizing about LA. For me, I know people who love it. I'm not knocking the city. Everything just doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
And that was something I had to learn. So shout out to you for not taking E! News. Shout out to E! News.
But all your other jobs, E! News. If there's anything. Well, I can be myself. I'm your girl.
She's available. Okay, we're running up on time. I want to be respectful of your time. And then, so I just have one more question before we close out. How do you feel?
I'm good. We're good, yeah.
Okay. What piece of advice would you give to listeners who, I don't think I've conveyed how big of a deal, because if you don't watch your podcast, you don't know, but check out Meg Scoop. She's a big deal.
Thank you.
Checked out the shows. They just check the numbers and you will understand. And the people that you work with.
Thank you.
We work with some heavy hitters. So take her advice seriously. I mean,
or don't.
Or do what you want.
You listen to it or not.
Yes. I always say on the show, I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do. So you're right.
Listen if you want to or don't.
Take what resonates. But it would what word am I looking for? It would behoove you to
Behoove, that's a good word. Behoove.
It would behoove you to listen. And I'm taking notes as well. But so what piece of advice would you give listeners who might want to become head of production on successful podcasts?
I think just, gosh, this is such a hard question because there's so many things, right? Yes. At the end of the day, I think the most important thing is to network with God. Because I could say all these things like, go to sleep early, get your rest, and work out, meditate. You can do all these things, right? And still not be where you want to be in life. But I think fulfillment doesn't come from outward things like achievement or all that. Fulfillment really comes from inside. And if you're not spending your time with the creator who made every little intricate piece of you, made you who you are, and loves every fiber of your being, I don't think any of this really even matters. Yeah. You'll never be happy if you don't put your focus there. Everything else will happen as a result, right? God has no problem elevating anybody, but if you're taking your focus off of him and your distractions and you're focused on who I'm going to be in this life and people need to see me and I'm going to be amazing and excellent. Well, that's cool. But like, who are you to God? Who does God look at you and say, does he say he knows you? Or like, are we good? Or does God be like, I don't know her.
I don't know her.
I don't know her. Like, I mean, I made her, but I don't know her because she don't be talking to me like that. Like that to me is worse than anything else. Any failure, any lack of being a part of something in life. I think that part is probably the most important piece. And people are always trying to see like, let me go meet this person. Let me do this. I don't know what connections I'm going to make. And the truth is, you network with God. He knows everybody.
Oh, word. Everybody. What's your next job? Preaching?
It might be actually. I don't know. But like, and so network with God, then you're networking essentially with everywhere and everything that you need to be a part of.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
And he'll make sure you meet the people you need to meet.
Exactly.
He can introduce you.
You'll be at home, open the door. I'm sorry, I'm lost. I'm a casting director. You're perfect. Come with me. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't know. So just put your time and energy where it's important. And that is in God. And then be prepared. And yes, faith without works is dead, which means to me, I'm spending my time with God, but I'm also becoming excellent in my craft.
Right.
So that when the call does come, I'm ready.
Be ready for those opportunities when they do come.
Yeah.
I deepening that relationship with God, in my opinion, for my life, it literally does feel like magic sometimes. I couldn't get the word out. Literally, it does feel like you pray for stuff, and when you're ready, it does appear. It almost feels like it fell into your lap.
And it's not even a surprise because you were so like, I believed in God for this. Yeah, and I know that God has never let me down.
Yeah, it's so true.
Like it's just, so I don't know. I guess at this stage of my career, I realized that has been the most important thing that has sustained me from thing to thing to thing. And has, like, when I look at the growth of my career, not just externally, but internally, I'm like, oh, I see what you were doing, God. I get it,
Yeah.
So yes, take your time with God. Network with him. He knows everybody.
I love that. This is my last thing, but what about when people don't believe in God? What can they do?
If they don't, that's a journey. Here, what I would say is go seek truth.
Okay.
Seek the truth. Because the truth is, well, I know what the truth is, but just go seek truth and be relentless for truth and you'll get your answer.
Yeah. I always want to, because I want the show to be as big as possible, and I know everybody, they might not believe, and but I want to leave them with something. So go find your truth.
The answer is still the same, but instead go seek truth.
If you know, you know. Yeah.
Go seek the truth and you'll find it. Because I did the same thing. I had a whole period in my life where I grew up churchy, but I had a period when I went to LA and I was just like, do I believe in God because like I was raised that way, or do I really believe in God?
That happened to me.
And then I went on a journey and I was like, I need to seek the truth. I need to find the truth. And I, studied different religions. I love different religions. I learned a lot and I'm so glad I took this journey But through the journey of learning about religions, I found the truth.
Yeah, the same. I said that too because if I think if you do have a relationship with God and it's long term, y'all gonna go through some ups and downs, and not him necessarily, but you'll have your doubts.
Yeah.
And so I went through a long period where I was like, same thing. I grew up in the church, and I was like, was I just brainwashed? Like, what happened? What's going on? And then so I took everything. I heard someone say, took the furniture out the house and put it back in. So that's pretty much what I did, and read about and then found things on my own, and still learning. And I love it. I love it from doing your own search, your own.
Yeah, because you have to know why you believe what you believe, as opposed to somebody just told me.
Yeah.
And I had to go through the journey.
Yeah. So if you're on your journey, it's okay. You find your way. If y'all listening, you'll find your way. But I do like to put that out there because there was a time if I had heard that, I'm like, whatever. Like I got getting upset, with God and all that stuff. So I mean, I'm not saying everybody has, but I've been like confused.
And that's normal, right? That's normal.
Yes.
Yeah.
But growing up in the church, you weren't supposed to say nothing like that.
Which is also a problem.
A big problem. Huge
problem. People not being honest about their truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like, sometimes you doubt God. That's normal.
Yeah.
People in the Bible doubted God.
We need to talk about this. I mean, I think now it's different that people can have those questions and say it. But when I was growing up, you could not say that. I would get in trouble.
Blasphemy.
You're doubting God. I'm sorry. But anyways, that's all I have. Are you good?
I've enjoyed my time, Selena. Yay. I love your podcast.
Thank you.
Don't forget me when it blows up and gets huge and amazing.
Gosh.
Bring me back, please.
Thank you.
Don't forget me. Don't forget me.
Do you mean it? Are you just saying?
No, I'm dead serious.
Oh no, I feel like you seem very genuine.
I'm dead serious.
If it was a bad,
you have a good on-air demeanor. You have a genuineness about you. You're such a you're a really genuine person. You're a good person.
Thank you. When you were talking about the hiding, I was like, does she think I'm hiding something? I'm not.
Oh no, girl, not you. I wasn't talking about you.
No, I knew you were. I was like, am I coming across like that?
No.
Oh, good. Thank you. Oh, all the work. All that self-work that you do on yourself.
Yes.
Pays off. Pays off. I really do appreciate that. It means a lot to me, especially coming from you with all these shows.
You got it.
You know a lot of folks. But anyway, so I'll close this out. So where's okay. I tried to change my outro, but I don't like the new one. So anyway, thank you for sharing your time with me and inspiring listeners to redefine success for themselves. You can find out more about Meg on Instagram at
Meg Scoop, like scoop of ice cream.
Yes. And
who doesn't love ice cream?
There's lots of tags there for her shows to check her out. And I will also put her handle in the show notes, so check those out. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Again, I ask that you subscribe. When you subscribe, I can keep elevating the show. It'll keep growing. I can keep getting people like Meg who are really out here doing it.
Go back. Share it with your friends and your friends' friends. There you go.
What she said.
Yes.
Like the episode, please share and follow the show on Instagram so you don't miss anything. And I asked the guests to say the tagline, which is, it's long.
I'm sorry. What is it?
We'll show you our definition of success if you show us yours.
We'll show you our definition of success if you show us yours.
Yay! You did it! Thank you so much.
Oh, this was so much fun.